So 2015 Sentra. This is 22 millimeter lug nuts. No, 21 millimeter lug nuts. I apologize. And then what I did was, when I got in here, I took a screwdriver and I stuck it in the brake pad area right here, and I caught the brake pad and I pried until it started moving, and I pushed the brake pad into the piston, but I stayed on the brake pad side and I pushed the piston all the way in. So now I got this rotor that's floppy here. 14 millimeter bolt here, 14 millimeter bolt down here. Pop those loose, drop your caliper off, and then back behind it you have a set of are these 17s or 16s or 17s for the bracket, but we'll find that out when we get there. So let's get the caliper off and lay it off to the side. Then we'll get the bracket off. 14 millimeter. That one off, and I'm going to do one on the bottom. Leave the top a couple threads in, because when you go to break the bottom loose, the caliper is going to try to flop off on you. So leave it a couple threads in the hole so it can help hold it. Break your bottom loose. Come on now, get the dropsies out of you. There, and we'll go up here, finish pulling this out. Make sure your slide pins move back and forth nice and easy once you get these out. Pull your caliper out. I like to lay it up. Well, try not to bind up the hose if you don't. I like to lay it up top, and then I'll grab these here. They move nice and free. They're really, really free. There's no problem there, so I'm not going to touch those. I'm going to leave them alone. Now I'm going to use a flathead screwdriver. Go ahead and pop my brake pads off. See, these were really thin. Really, really, really thin. The customer's been putting it off for a little while now, and he finally said, you know, just go ahead and do it. And then he's been putting off the engine belt as well. So then I'll pry my strips off of here. Now I need to get those brake caliper bolts, this one and this one here. The bracket bolts off of there. Let me see what size they are. They're actually 19 millimeter bolts, and I'm going to use a 1/2 inch drive breaker bar to break them loose. Okay, pull your rotor off. Clean up as much of the rust on the hub and around the center portion of your hub bearing as you can. Clean out as much of that rust off as you can. Let's get ready to put the new rotor on. Alright, I've pulled the rotors out of the box. These are one of the lower end sets from AutoZone. The front rotors are 76015DL. They're not the Duralast Gold ones. They can convert this number over if you want to step up. The customer wanted the cheaper ones, so that's the ones we got for him. The brake pads are the Duralast Gold OE style. The part number for the brake pads is DG1 815A. You don't have to do it the way I do it, but I take 2 lug nuts and stick it on there to hold the rotor on as far as I can while I get the caliper set up. So now I'm going to clean on the caliper bracket. This is just how I do it. You can use a file if you want. Oh, the top is really good. Okay, that's good enough. What I did was I just cleaned all the rust out of all the contact points where the clip is going to sit. Now what I'm going to do is pop the pins out one at a time and clean them, and then add some new Seal Glide brake caliper lubricant to the pins. So I use a pretty generous amount after I clean the old stuff out of there. And then I just push it down all the way, and then the rubber just pops right over the lip like that. And then we go over to the other side here, pop it out, clean all that old grease off and put some new grease on it. And there it is. There's the other one. Put it in. So I put them in here and I snug them up. I'm not going to lie to you, I did not torque the caliper bracket bolts. I've just been doing this for so long, I just do it. And then I took and threw my clips in here. And this has got like 2 different style of clips or something that comes with it. I don't know what the hell is going on with this. I just know the ones that came off of it had this style, I think on the bottom or the top. I think it's on the bottom. And that style on the top. So that's how I put it back the same way. Some of you may be asking, do I put any grease underneath before I put the new clips on? I don't. I'm not going to lie to you, I don't do that. I put them back this way. I don't want to introduce a contact point of wetness or grease in order for dirt to stick there. Something I just don't do. So here, if you start this corner, well, this here, this is supposed to go inside this to begin with. Here, let me show you. Kind of, that little tab goes like that, and then once you put that around the tab, you put that around the tab on the bottom right there like that, it starts to bend forward, and then you can slide that in, and it helps pull this pad out when it doesn't need to be applied. So that little tab just kind of sits in there, and then it sits in there like that. I don't put any grease on this because everything's clean and dry, and you got stainless steel clips like this anyway, there's no need to put grease on it. And then here, same thing. I start the little tab. Like that. Push it in. Done. Now see, my brake pads are installed. Nice and clean and dry and no problems. Only thing that I lube when I do this is I redo the pins and that's it. No contact points, no under the clips. You don't need to do any of that. Alright, so now I slid my caliper back in there. And I'm going to tighten up my bolts. Nice and just snug. These, you don't have to kill yourself. This is not a main anchor point for this. This is only to let the caliper slide back and forth. If you ever have a situation where one pad is wearing more than the other one or uneven, 9 times out of 10 your slide pins are frozen inside here. You might have to get a new caliper and a whole new bracket assembly. Because if they're bad enough and you can't get them cleaned out, so then I go like this and I just snug them up just a little. Snug them up. Nice and tight, but not killing it. And then I do the same thing over here on the top, 14 millimeter. Snug it up. That's it. Take my lug nuts back off here, put my tire on, and go burnish the brakes in. 3 or 4 stops from like 30, 40 mile an hour, kind of nice and firm down. And then if you can get up to 50, 60, do a couple stops that nice and firm down, and then you're good. You'll smell brakes, but that's okay. It's normal. A little bit is normal. Excessively, you probably were too hard on it when you took it out.